California's monopoly territory is home to 17 million people.
Families already struggle to pay their bills.
AGD was convicted of 91 felonies.
Really? I mean, what's next?
Greybeard Talks Solar. He is SolarWise.
Welcome to the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please like, share, and subscribe if you find the information that I'm going to share today to be valuable and insightful. Today's topic for the channel is what's going on right now in solar, both nationwide and also in California. And I'm going to make the case that in these very, very interesting solar times, some very challenging solar times. In the industry, we call it the solar coaster. And right now we are on an e-ticket ride. Let me just say that. Lots of stuff happening both nationwide with the federal income tax credit, the big, beautiful bill from the Trump administration and how it's roiling solar throughout the country. And then we've got several different very good programs in California right now that people can take advantage of. So we'll jump right into the discussion today. So just a quick update on what's going on nationally. As I've discussed before, the big, beautiful bill from the Trump administration, the House version of it, effectively did away with the solar income tax credit for residential homeowners basically at the end of this year, December 31st. The House version would have that tax credit effectively go away. And not only did it affect the income tax credit for residential homeowners, but it also affected the income tax credit benefit for investors. So, for example, leases and power purchase programs are absolutely dependent on investor funding. And the main reason investors even get into solar or even want to have anything to do with solar is the significant and meaningful tax benefits that are associated with solar installations today. So currently, as it sits right now today, you have a 30% federal income tax credit. So effectively stated, that solar income tax credit is really, really valuable to investors that want to harvest that credit for the benefit of themselves, or if it's a fund, for the benefit of their investors. And so the fact that that's potentially going away is affecting the market. And so let me just say this, as a solar broker, doing business in the state of California, over the last 5 years, I've gone through over 30 companies trying to find the best of the best throughout the state. Doing a radio show like I do, so outside of the Greybeard Talks Solar YouTube channel, I also host a radio show on 7 different stations throughout the state of California. And doing a radio show like I do to a broad audience, I kept encountering a lot of different folks that were in a lot of different situations. So, for example, you may not realize in the industry, some solar companies specialize in very specific solar installation examples. So, for example, some companies don't do ground mounts. Some companies don't do off-grid solar. Some companies don't do commercial solar. So within the industry, companies are specialized. Many are specialized. Some will not do certain aspects. And when you cast a really wide net with radio, obviously I encountered a lot of different situations that were maybe not something that was ideally for a specific installer, especially throughout the whole state of California. So long story short, I ended up endeavoring to go through about 30 different companies trying to find the best of the best out there. And so as a broker, there's no formal license that I need to have to be a broker, but think of it this way. Because I kept affiliating with different companies over time, I built relationships with different companies over time. These different companies had different finance vehicles, different lease options, different power purchase program options. Some of them did roof mounts, some of them did off-grid, some of them did commercial. And so the more I got kind of jumped in with both feet and dove into the industry, the more I learned. And over a period of now almost 5 years, I've really kind of figured out exactly how solar works in California, which companies to work with, which companies to stay away from. And in these specific times, right now, with the pending complete eradication of the solar income tax credit, it really is creating a very tumultuous environment where buyers need to beware of the installers that they're working with. So, for example, if this solar income tax credit does, in fact, go away with the Senate version, because the Senate will have a version of the bill that they ultimately will pass. They'll have to reconcile that with the House, and who knows how it's going to all end up with solar. But let's just go through this thought process that solar gets the axe, the income tax credit gets the axe at the end of this year. That creates a very challenging business environment for a solar installation company that only does retrofit installations on residential homes. So retrofit means you're adding solar to an already existing home versus new construction solar, as an example. And so what I'm worried about moving forward, what I'm paying attention to right now, what I'm researching right now are what companies throughout the state of California are the best positioned to weather this significant disadvantage that's coming and still be viable moving forward into 2026 and beyond as a solar installation company that is going to have an ongoing concern, viability, financial strength, financial health, et cetera. So what I'm looking for right now from some of these solar installation companies is how much new construction business do they do? So let me be very clear. Solar is not going to evaporate. It's not going to go away. I think it's going to have a very, very significant retraction throughout most of the country, other than in California. And the only reason I specify that it isn't going to happen in California, probably Florida as well, is that the rate of electricity cost in those particular states, California and Florida, is so outrageous that solar will always make sense, even if there's a 30% cost increase for residential homeowners because of the loss of the tax credit benefit, right? So solar is still going to be a thing in California, but I think the companies that are going to be positioned the strongest, positioned the best to weather what is coming are going to be those that have a significant chunk of commercial business. Because commercial, do they care about the tax credit? Yes, but they've got a lot bigger dollars to deal with, and mitigating that ongoing consistent expense. When you think about a business, if they can reduce their overhead, reduce their expenses on a monthly basis, that adds right into positive cash flow, right? So a dollar saved is a dollar earned. So commercial business is still going to thrive, in my opinion. And then new construction business, because in California, the building code stated in 2019, they changed the building code in California, mandating that all new construction had to have solar as part of Title 24 energy efficiency requirements. So all new construction in California, anybody that builds a new house, anybody that builds an apartment, even new commercial construction is now required to have solar as part of it. So there will be solar installation companies, there will be solar sold, there will be solar installed. But I think from a residential homeowner perspective, and this channel is primarily geared towards those others that are in the industry like me, and also residential homeowners, I think the concern that you're going to have is if you have a local solar company to you that doesn't do any commercial business and doesn't do any new construction business, and in other words, the only way that they make their money is selling solar to residential homeowners like you and me, I think those guys are going to have a significant challenge moving into 2026 because effectively, think about the cost of doing business and then a significant retraction in that business volume. So for example, I think people that were going to do solar in spring or summer of next year are going to now be motivated to make it a higher priority before the end of this year. So many of these solar companies are going to have a great end to 2025. They're going to close out a lot of business, but they're kind of robbing from Peter to pay Paul. They're stealing future business that would have come next year, to come now. And then what's going to happen in 2026? It's going to be crickets. I think the first 6 months in 2026, I'm forecasting myself maybe a 75% reduction in interest and or solar adoption. Now, as time goes on, I think the ship will righten. I think it'll levelize and then start to grow again. Because the one thing that we do know, PG&E, Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric in California, they're not going to stop raising rates. They're not going to stop gouging homeowners. It's not going to stop getting extremely more expensive with time. And so I think solar will come out of this with time. But many of these smaller companies don't have the ability to weather 6 months of no income or 6 months of a 75% reduction in volume for their business. And I think they'll go under. I think those companies will get out of the industry. Now, set that aside just for a sec. Just because of the uncertainty regarding whether the tax credit's going to be here or not, if they're going to stage it down, or are they going to completely eliminate it all in one fell swoop, there's a lot of finance companies that are getting really nervous right now. So we've seen some finance companies stop lending towards solar We've seen some, just put it on pause and they're going to hold back for now. We're also starting to see some of the leases and power purchase programs that were normally available a month ago, even 3 weeks ago, now not available. They're putting a pause on those. So strongly encourage anybody that's watching this channel, if you're a residential homeowner, found my channel and you're interested in exploring solar, now would be the time to do that. And so I think the finance companies and some of these options that we have available now, some of the best options I've ever seen for the lowest cost solar adoption that you can get, I think that their time is numbered. I think it's only a matter of weeks or maybe a month or two before many of the options that we used to have available 2 months ago, we won't have ever again. And so what I think is going to happen in the industry is the strongest will survive. I think the people with cash will be able to, buy solar. I think they'll be able to potentially get a loan from a credit union or their bank or home equity line to pay for it if they wanted to look at alternative funding. But I am worried about how many companies that lend towards solar right now, solar finance companies, how many of those are going to be eager to stay in the market through this tumultuous uncertainty of time, and then what's going to happen as they start to pivot over the next 6 months if the tax credit is in fact eliminated. So once again, as a solar broker, these are all the things that we're paying attention to. This last week, I was inundated with calls. I jumped on Zooms. I was part of CALSA, which is a California Solar and Storage and Solar Association. I was on their webinars. I was on a few of the bank webinars. I was just trying to gather as much information as I could about what's going on. And all I can say is, the industry is going to change. And it's going to be quite a ride. This is just another iteration of the solar coaster. I'm still going to be here. We're still going to be offering solar as a broker, and we're still going to have installers. And I think many of our installers will survive because I was already starting to pay attention to this as much as 6 months to a year ago. Because a lot of solar companies, when the big NEM change, NEM 2 to NEM 3 happened in 2023, a lot of those companies have gone out of business. And with the higher interest rates, solar adoption has substantially slowed. So we were already working on this before the big, beautiful bill took effect or roiled the industry with the possibility that the solar income tax credit is going away. But let me say this, even in the midst of all of this, guess what? California launched the 4th or 5th iteration of the self-generation incentive program in the industry. We call it SGIP, self-generation incentive program. And by the way, you can find some information on this if you go to www.selfgenca.com. So selfgenca.com, selfgenca.com. But anyway, they launched the $252 million fund that primarily gets its money from the fees on the utility bills, like on PG&E's bills, and you look at it, or Edison or whatever, and you see a fee for this, $2, $3, $6, $8. SGIP is one of those funds that we've all contributed to in terms of the expense of our normal monthly utility costs. And this fund has ballooned up. In the most recent iteration, it became almost $1 billion fund. Well, they've carved off $252 million to provide for panels and batteries to homeowners in California at zero out-of-pocket cost. Literally nothing. If the homeowner is part of the low-income CARE or FARA program. FARA is Family Energy Rate Assistance Program. CARE is the low income. You got to be an 80% or below the median income in your particular area. So get this, with the solar industry being roiled right now, a lot of companies, nervous and anxious, and many companies expecting that they may or may not survive this. Here we've got now this benefit where I've been advertising it on my radio program, where effectively if you are a CARE customer or FARA customer with PG&E, Edison, or San Diego Gas and Electric in California, you can actually get free solar, 13-panel system plus a Tesla Powerwall 3. At the gross value of the system installed, it's obviously inflated as part of the fund, but it's a $52,000 value to a homeowner at zero out of pocket. No future payments. It's not a lease. It's not a PPA. No future payments. Nothing required. And so effectively, this is one of the best programs I've seen. So if you hear me right now, if you're part of CARE, if you're part of that low income, or FARA with Edison, San Diego Gas and Electric, or PG&E, please reach out to us. All you got to do is text CARE, C-A-R-E, to 84503. Again, text CARE to 84503. And if there's still funds remaining in the fund, we think it's going to be exhausted in the next week or two. But if you see this and maybe there's still time, reach out to us and we'll see if we can't reserve you a spot for the free system. Again, 13-panel photovoltaic system, 405-watt panels paired with a Tesla Powerwall 3, roof-mounted, can't do ground-mounted systems, but roof-mounted system, all permitting, labor, cost, inspections, interconnection agreement with the utility, all of it taken care of. It will not increase your property taxes. You do not lose your NEM status. There are no payments. You don't have to pay anything back. There's no you can transfer the system when you sell the house. It's one of the best programs that I've seen available in solar right now, and certainly something that you would want to take advantage of if you are a CARE customer. But this brings me to the last point here of really why I would strongly encourage you to work with a broker. Out of all of my 11 different companies that I've found, as I said before, we've gone through over 30 different companies, try to distill down into the 11 real good ones that we found thus far. And out of those 11 different installers, I only have 2 that are qualified and registered as SGIP capable companies. So stated differently, there's so many people out in California right now that could benefit from a free solar system that have no idea that it even exists. And so many different companies out there that could represent it, but they're not qualified. They didn't get approved. They didn't get SGIP, approved to be able to offer the program. And so as a broker, because one of my companies did almost a third of that SGIP business a few years ago when they were offering a Tesla Powerwall 3 or Tesla Powerwall 2. They have the capability and the bandwidth and the resources to be able to handle this, and so we have been flooding the airwaves. But here again is a very specific point. As a broker, my value to a homeowner is bringing resources, bringing knowledge, expertise, resources to the homeowner. And I'm just grateful that I have an alignment, a strategic relationship with an installer that does allow for us to be able to help our clients benefit from something like this SGIP program. And if you're dealing with some company that might be local to you or one of the big national companies, maybe they know about it, maybe they don't, maybe your salesperson knows about it, somebody knocking on your door may or may not even know this program exists. So again, it is quite the ride being in solar in California. But hopefully some of the information I shared with you today was valuable, insightful. If it was, please help us grow the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you will. And this is a place where a little knowledge, a little wisdom goes a long way toward turning sunshine into some serious savings for you. So here's what I got to say. I'll be back here same time, same place next week to launch another video. And stay shining, stay bright, and keep your focus on saving money with the utility with solar. All right, Greybeard out. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to SolarWise. Greybeard Talks Solar. Please visit our website, solarwiseco.com, to learn more. And we will see you next time on SolarWise.